Okay, so for anybody just joining, we'll need a ball today and a bolster today. And we're going to start this morning seated. So if you want to come up onto whatever you like to sit on, bolster, cushions, and folded blankets. And we'll either have the legs crossed in front if this is comfortable. If it's not so good for knees, you can have your legs straight out and your ankles crossed. Okay, now let's just take a moment to sit up nice and tall through the center line of the body. So we're feeling that gentle lift through the crown. Shoulders are relaxed down away from the ears, and the hands are resting on the knees. And we're going to start by just undulating the spine gently. So we'll press the chest and belly forward like you're looking, and then pull out to the side and back, other side and forward. Just like a snake in a snake charmer's basket. And keeping those shoulders nice and loose and away from the ears. You might think about the crown of your head drawing a circle up on the ceiling. And then let's keep going, but switch directions. And as you're moving, starting to relax the abdominal area. And drawing in a nice, long, deep breath from the nostrils down to the navel. And exhaling up from the navel, out through the nose. Let's come back to our neutral seated position. So again, nice and tall, and we'll just bring the shoulders up. Press back, release down, and roll forward. So just bringing some warmth to shoulder joints. And as you're moving your shoulders, relax through your elbows and wrists. And nice soft hands. And we'll inhale, draw the shoulders up, press back. And then exhale as you release your shoulder blades down your back. And so let's stay nice and tall with the sternum lifted. And we're going to release the weight of the head. So allowing your head now to be heavy and your chin to drop, but not allowing the spine to curl forward. So we're nice and tall with just a dropped head. Interlace your fingers now, and we'll place the palms of the hands on the back of the head. So we're not pushing or pulling the head down, just let your arms be a weight. And the weight of your arms rests on the back of your head. And just notice what you're feeling in the back of your neck and across your upper back. And as we rest here, begin to relax your abdomen even a little more, the sides of your waist and your lower back. And start to feel the movement of energy or prana as you draw your inhalation in and expand all around the navel center. And as you exhale, think about releasing tension from the abdominal area. So maybe the belly gets softer with each breath. And we'll be moving into some complete breaths now. So a complete breath means taking in as much inhalation as you can and exhaling completely. So begin now drawing breath through your nose and filling the space of the abdomen. And as you do, start to sit up. Keep inhaling, and now we're filling the chest. Keep sitting up, start to bring your elbows back. And as your lungs are full, you're looking up at the ceiling, chest wide open. And then as you exhale, the head is dropping, elbows are closing as the chest empties. Continue exhaling, and as we're rounding forward now, we're drawing the navel in towards the spine. Let's keep going. Inhaling through the nose, filling the belly. And as we sit up and open, filling the chest, eyes to the ceiling. And exhaling, emptying the chest. Elbows dropping, drawing the abdomen in, and we can even squeeze the belly at the bottom of the exhale and empty the lungs completely. So just keep going. We'll do about 3 more, just like this. And no hurrying, so take your time, complete breath. Your shoulders soft, no tension in the shoulders. The arms remain this weight on the back of the head. And then the next time that you're open, so don't hurry, but when you get to that place where you're open, we'll stay there and return to our normal breath. Bring your attention back into your shoulders, release your shoulder blades. And see if you can let the weight of your head rest in your hands. So like you're kind of leaning back into the hands. And on your next inhalation, we're going to press the palms up towards the ceiling. Take your hands away now. Inhale, press up. And exhale, release down. Let's take the heels of the hands now to the forehead. And we're going to press in, draw some circles. And just explore sensation now in your forehead and all the little muscles of the forehead. So coming down to your eyebrows and up towards your hairline, up into your temples. And then we'll take the pointer finger and middle finger of each hand and just place them between the eyebrows, press in, and then drag your fingers down the sides of your nose, out across your cheekbones to the soft spot in the ear. And let's do that 3 times. Good. So pressing in and dragging across and out to the ear. And then there's any tenderness in your jaw, you can take your fingers and just rub the joints between the upper and lower teeth. You can do this both in front of the ears and maybe coming behind the ears. Good. Remaining aware of the touch of breath in the nose. And then when you're ready, we're going to move into our first yin posture. And today that will be the caterpillar. So caterpillar is much like Paschimottanasana, or our legs closed, forward bend. So what we're going to do is come down off of whatever seat we're on and find your staff pose. So in staff pose, we're seated with the legs straight out from the body. And we can wiggle our toes a little bit here. Having these cold mornings now, right? So lots of clicking and cracking. Can roll our ankle joints. And in caterpillar, we're going to be coming forward. So you have the choice of either just kind of hanging or of supporting that. So if you do have your bolster could also be a support. Okay, so both options are fine. And what we're going to do is sit up tall and just start to tip out over your legs. And remembering that in Yin Yoga, we're always looking for our edge. So you get to this place where your body stops. At that point, yes, either supporting or not. And we'll just let the arms drape over the bolster if we're using a bolster, or over the legs. Let your head drop and let your shoulders round. So in this position, likely the head is dangling. And we've done a little bit of work for the back of the neck. It might be okay. If having your head hanging is uncomfortable or causing any tension in the back of the neck, you can use your hands to support your head. So your upper arms could be on your bolster and your hands could hold your head. Or your fists could be stacked And your forehead could rest on your fist. Okay. So just taking a few moments to find your posture. We're going to stay here for about 4 minutes. So we want to be in a place where we're feeling something, but it's not too much to let go. And when you found your position, relax your neck, relax your shoulders, and start to have the feeling of being a rag doll. So imagine you were sitting on a shelf and the upper body just kind of fell forward. And we're feeling no holding in the upper body. Start to bring your awareness to the places where you feel this most. And so this position really stretches the back body from your heels all the way up the back of your neck. So this could be an upper back position for you, a lower back position, a back of the legs position, and all of the above position. So just notice in your body, where is sensation the strongest? And when you find those places, see if you can let your breath move there. So could you imagine that you are inhaling into the tightness, inhaling into the gripping, and that the breath or energy moves into those spaces and creates a little more room. So feel expansion on the inhalation. And then if you could feel your exhale coming out of those spaces, see if you can release a little bit of tension with each exhale. So drawing energy in and we expand. Exhaling and we soften. And just remembering our principles for holding our yin postures. We do our very best to not move. So not adjusting, not fidgeting, not rearranging, but just learning the strength of endurance in a position that may not be optimally comfortable. In a sense, surrendering to the position of the body. And we should remember too, there are two exceptions to the be still idea. One is if there's pain. Okay, so discomfort is great, right? That's what we're striving for. Pain is not. If anything is pinching, tingly, cold, stabbing, right? Those are the feelings that are pain, then definitely readjust or come out. The other times we might move in a yin posture are when our edge moves. So sometimes after we hang out here for a while, we start to feel like we could drop a little more. And if you start to feel like your edge has moved, you might drop into the posture a little more. And so we looked at that place in the body where we feel this the most. See if you can find the place in your body where you feel this the second most. So for me, this position is about my lower back. But if I was to move my awareness around, I would find that I also have stuff going on in my upper back. So for you, it might move to someplace in your back or someplace in your legs. And we'll make that the locus of breathing now. And we'll stay with it for about 10 long breaths. So very gently filling the lungs and emptying. And then start to have the idea that you are going to restack your spine. We always move out of our yin postures very slowly. So let your hands help you. Start to walk back towards your body. And we're restacking, restacking, restacking. Set the bolster off to the side for just a moment. Good. And once you're back to your staff position, let's wiggle the toes and move the ankles. So from that extreme forward bend, we will go to an extreme back bend. Let's add the bolster now off to the side where we can sit with the back of the hips against it. Okay, so we're still in our staff position. You might want to scooch on your mat and bring your bolster so it's touching the sacrum. It's just touching the backs of your hips. And then again, in slow motion, we're going to lie down over the bolster. Okay. If you feel like your head is too low here, you could grab a cushion or a blanket and prop your head a little bit. That's always fine to do. Sometimes we feel the head's dropping back here, and if that's not pleasant, support the head. Okay. We won't stay here quite as long. We'll stay here about 2 minutes. So in this position now, release the weight of your shoulders and allow the chest to open, the shoulder blades to slide together. Let your arms be heavy, your hands relax. And likewise, let your feet relax. So if you've been doing hatha yoga for a long time, we get used to this idea that our toes should be facing the ceiling, right, in a lot of our positions. In yin, we want the legs to be completely surrendered. So if you were to let go of your legs, your feet might flop out, your toes might flop in, one might do one thing, the other thing. So in yin, it's not at all about what it looks like. Let your legs go. And feel now the weight of your spine supported by your bolster. So there's a sense of handing over the weight of our body to the support. And let's take 10 long breaths right into the sternum. So imagine you could inhale right into your heart center. Feel the space of your chest fill. And then a nice long exhalation from the heart center. And we talked about the ocean breath. So the ocean breath is just like ujjayi. It means constricting the throat a little bit so that you can hear the raspy sound of your breath behind your forehead. So it's our Darth Vader breath. So if you'd like to use that ujjayi or ocean breath, you can do that. And if you can hear your breath behind your forehead, let your awareness be with it. Two more breaths. And as you start to think about coming out of this position, again, the hands will help you. So you can kind of lean into your forearms, lift your head, and start to bring yourself slowly back to your staff position. Again, take your time. And when you find yourself there, you can bend your knees, bring the soles of your feet to the floor, and kind of lean back into your hands. And let's start twisting nice and slow. So knees drop and come across. And as the back starts to wake up, we might move a little deeper. And we might start to bring the arm across the body. So when the knees drop left, the right arm comes across and we look over the shoulder. And then back to neutral. Knees drop right, left arm across the body and look over the shoulder. And let's take each side one more time. And switch. And then we'll come back to center. And we're going to bring the soles of the feet together now. So this is our butterfly position. Okay. And so last class we did a long-legged butterfly where we started here and pushed the feet away. But we're going to do it today just from however you normally do butterfly. And we'll sit up nice and tall through the center line of the body. The hands can rest on the feet, the ankles, wherever they land. And start to bring your navel forward, looking again for that place where your body stops. Once you're here, you could keep your head up if you prefer that, or you can start to drop your head and release your shoulders. If there's enough going on in the inner thighs, groin area, you can just let your knees float. If there's too much going on, this is a place where your blocks could come under as supports. Okay, so there's too much pulling going on, grab your blocks and they can go up by your upper thighs. If you love this and you want a little more from it, your elbows could rest inside of your calves and just put a very gentle amount of pressure on the legs. And we'll be here for just 20 breaths. So relax your eyes and your forehead. Draw your inhalation through the nostrils and bring your inhalation to your navel center. Exhale from your navel center up and out through the nose. And that starts to get easy. Imagine your inhalation entering through your nose and traveling down to your pelvic center. So that's maybe about 3 inches below your belly button between your two hips. And then the exhalation starting at the pelvic center and moving up and out through the nose. So either breathing to the navel or beyond the navel to the pelvic center. If that gets easy, you could inhale through your nose and bring your breath all the way down to the floor of the pelvis. So the root center or pelvic floor. And then the exhale travels from the pelvic floor up and out through the nose. So one more long breath to whichever point you're breathing to. And at the bottom of your exhale, hands help you. Let's restack the spine. Hands can help you bring your legs back out in front. Yeah, just remember that kind of creaky feeling is a good thing. So we kind of release the energy after holding. Wiggle your toes, move your ankles. And from here, we're going to be coming all the way down onto our backs. So as you're ready, bring yourself down onto the floor and just make sure you have room above your head so that you're not right up against a piece of furniture or a wall. And from this position, just make sure that you can reach your ball. Okay, so we won't use it right away, but it's off to the side so you can reach it. We're going to bring the arms overhead to the floor. So the backs of the hands are above you on the floor. And then just reach through your right fingertips, press through your right heel, lengthen. And then we'll switch. Left fingertips reach, left heel presses. And just move from side to side. So just giving yourself a full body stretch. If it feels good, again, you can wiggle your toes, move your ankles. And we'll be doing some side bending now in our half moon stretches. So we're going to interlace the fingers and place the palms of the hands behind the head. And then lift your head and shoulders just like you were going to do an abdominal crunch. Slide the head and shoulders as far left as they go without moving your pelvis. And then put your head down, elbows open. Okay, so your head and shoulders are curved to the left. And then we'll take the left heel about an inch left and slide the right foot over to meet it. So the legs are closed. Good. Yes. So the sensation will be in the right side of the body. Yes. And then once you're there, see if you can let your elbows drop a little bit. So they might be in the air, they might be on the floor, again, wherever they land. And notice where the sensation of this posture is in your body. So ideally, we're along the right side. If you feel your low back squeezing or tensing up, you're too deep. And then we could walk our feet a little bit more towards the center line, or we could slide our head and shoulders a little more center. If sensation is along the side of the body, it will stay here and start to release the weight of the shoulder blades and the weight of the pelvis. Soften your arms. Soften your legs. So again, if your toes turn in or out, that is fine. And start to bring your awareness along the right side of the body. So feeling your right shoulder joint and just noticing if you're holding or gripping the joint. Can you let it go to the floor? Let the weight of the shoulder go to the floor. Notice sensation along the side of the rib cage, along the side of the waist. And we may even be able to feel a sense of opening through the outer hip and outer thigh. And if you think back to that complete breath, see if you can take a complete breath into the side of your body. So a nice long inhalation that fills the shoulder joint, the rib cage, the waist, and feel the whole right side of your body expand. And as you exhale, feel the right side of the body empty, soften, sink. And as you're resting here, you can be a detective and explore the rest of your body as well. So as you're breathing your right side, notice how you're holding the parts of your body that are not part of this posture. So what are you doing with the muscles in your face? You might notice if lips are pursed or eyes are squinting or forehead is wrinkled. And can you let go of your facial muscles? So imagining you have an expression of absolute calm. Can you notice what you're doing with your hands? Are you gripping or squeezing your fingers? Can you let go of your hands? Can you notice your feet? And are the feet really soft? The legs soft? And let's take about 2 more big breaths into the right side. Start to walk your heels back to the center line of your mat. And we're going to lift the head and shoulders and bring the head and shoulders back to neutral. So for a moment now, let's take our hands out from behind the head. And you can just hold your hands above you. Start to wiggle your fingers and start to move your wrists. Your fingers might draw circles up on the ceiling in both directions. So holding the weight of your head is a yin kind of principle of good stress. All right, so that weight in your finger joints is a good thing. Again, as long as it's not painful. It's by stressing our joints that they grow stronger. So let's take this now to the left side. Interlace your fingers. Hands come behind the head. And now we're going to lift the head and shoulders and bring the head and shoulders to the right. Head down, elbows open. And then take your right heel a couple inches to the right and the left foot over to meet it as we start to open the left side of the body. Again, find your edge or your perfect place where there is a deep stretch through the left side, but where both sides of the pelvis are on the floor. So make sure your left sit bone is down. And where there's no compression in the lower back. And now starting to direct the breath into the left shoulder joint, left side of the ribs, left side of the waist. Nice long inhalation and filling. Nice long exhalation and emptying. And as you breathe the side body, again, explore the rest of your body. And can start to get really good at finding subconscious holding patterns. And we all have them. And it's not just in yoga postures, of course. They're often patterns of holding that we carry all day long. Clamped jaws, wrinkled foreheads, tight bellies. Again, you're like a detective and you're looking. And if you do find holding as best you can, soften and let go. And then start to walk your heels back. Head and shoulders lift. Head and shoulders come back to neutral. Hands come back out from behind the head. And again, we can wiggle our fingers and move our wrists as you like. We're going to do a couple hip rolls now. So you can bend your knees, bring the soles of your feet to the floor. And let's just rock a little bit to kind of loosen up the lower back. So just tipping knees from side to side. And then our hands can rest on the front of the pelvis. So you could place your two hands on the front of your hips. So that's fine. Or they could also rest on the floor. And with your hands keeping your pelvis still, bring your right knee in towards your belly. And the right knee starts to trace a little circle up on the ceiling. And then see if that circle can get any bigger. So each circle gets a little bigger. And if your left leg's in the way, the knee can just drop out to the side, kind of roll towards your left pinky toe. And after a few circles, we're making the biggest circle we have in this joint. So we're circling our edge in the hip joint. Likely getting some clicks and cracks, right? Because this joint doesn't get to do its full movement very often. Slow down and then circling the other way. Keep your big circle going. Slow, controlled. Knee drawing circles on the ceiling. And getting smaller and smaller until the right knee is drawing a little circle up on the ceiling. And then the foot comes down. Let's take the left knee now. Bring the left knee into your belly. Start to draw a little circle up on the ceiling with the left knee. And the lower leg can just kind of hang there, right? Whatever feels good. And start to draw a circle that gets a little bigger with each turn until you work your way up to your edge. And it might be different on this side from the other side, right? We're not always symmetrical movers. And when you found your biggest comfortable fluid circle, take it around a few times. Again, not too fast. We want to stay in control of the movement. And when you're ready, you can switch and roll the other way. And start to slowly get a little smaller and a little smaller until you're drawing a little circle up on the ceiling with the knee. And then land the foot down on the floor. And we're going to come to our wind reliever position. So pick up your legs, wrap your hands around your kneecaps, and squeeze your thighs in towards your belly. You can do this in a static way, or if you want to kind of rock from side to side. And then when you're ready, we're going to bring the feet back down to the floor. And we're going to use the ball So we're going to be placing the ball on our SI joints. Okay. So if you think about the back of your pelvis, your spine comes straight down, and then right here in the center, there's a big bone, right? And off to either side is a joint. Okay. And if you think about placing the ball, you're going to go beyond your low back to the middle of your pelvis and off to the side, maybe about 2 inches. Okay, so it's not extremely precise. You can't do it wrong. As long as it's uncomfortable, you're doing it right. So what we'll do is we'll kind of start maybe on the right side, and you can lift your right hip enough that your hand can place your ball, and you can roll back onto the ball. So it's a little less if you keep your knees bent and your soles of your feet on the floor. It's a little more intense if you bring your legs long. And feel free to try a couple different places. If you don't think this is quite good, you can always tip your hip and roll it a little closer to center or a little further away from center. Again, the effect will be the same. Good. And then we'll bring the weight of the hip down over the ball. Again, so a little bit of a princess and the pea feeling. All right. So just let your pelvis be heavy. You are aware that the ball is not comfortable. And the reaction of our bodies usually when we're not comfortable is to kind of tense or try to lift ourselves off. But we're going to override that and do the opposite, which is to completely relax. So let your pelvis be heavy. If you want a little bit more, your right hand could be on your right hip and just gently weight the hip over the ball. Soften your belly, and we're going to take 10 deep belly breaths. And the body is heavy over the ball. And soften your face. Relax your shoulders. And just be aware of the sensation of the ball. We're going to place the ball one other place on the side, which is going to be on the glutes. So again, you can't do it wrong. Whatever place feels the best for you is perfect. So you could bend your knee now, and we'll tip the hip off the ball, and we'll bring it a little lower. So it's right in kind of the center of your buttocks. And then bring the hip back to position. Okay, so depending on where you're tight, this might feel a little less intense or a little more. Again, feel free to adjust a couple times. Find your sweet spot. And then we'll take 5 breaths here. You can press the hip down a little bit more if you want with your hand. Deep belly breaths. Okay. And then when you're ready, you can tip your hip, take the ball out. And then just for a moment, lying here on the floor, does the right side of your pelvis feel different from the left side of your pelvis? And just notice physically, energetically, if there's any difference between the right and left back of the pelvis. Hopefully. Okay, so let's take the ball now and we're going to place it on the left side near the sacrum. So again, we're going to tip the pelvis, just lift your left hip, scoot your ball under there, and it's close to the SI joint or on the SI joint. And then lay down back over it. Again, feel free to try a couple different places. Maybe the left hand rests on the left hip. Let your mind feel the ball. Again, you might notice an instinct to kind of tense or roll off of it. And let's go the other direction. So rather than moving away from discomfort, we're moving into it. Relax your body. Soften your feet and hands, soften the muscles in your face. And allow your breath to be deep. And then we'll get ready to move the ball to the glutes. So bend your knee, tip your pelvis so that you can bring the ball lower. Right to the center of your buttock. And then the leg comes back down to the floor. The hand may weight the pelvis. And about 5 breaths here. So when we hold these postures, we like to watch our bodies. Again, we have that detective feeling. All right, so how is my body reacting to this? We like to watch our breath. Can I keep letting go into all these positions? And ideally, our mind is occupied by observing the body and breath. And so if thoughts come in from other parts of life, as best you can, try to move your focus back to sensation in the body and breath. Your mind's allowed to wander, but only to wander within sensation and within breath. And now when you're ready, let's take the ball out. And again, we're going to bring the knees in towards the belly. So we could do an open legged wind reliever as a different variation. So usually we do this with the thighs closed. You could open your thighs and draw your knees towards your hips. And again, either hold there or roll, wiggle toes. Okay, so way in the beginning of class, I mentioned having a wall. We're going to do our reclined leg cradles using a wall. So if you're not familiar with that, I will show you. I have a mini wall here. What we're going to do is come to your wall. And I'm going to want to lie down so that I can bring my right foot against the wall. And a good starting place is at 90 degrees. Okay. So whether you're at home or in the room, if you want to find a place where you can place your right foot with your knee at a 90-degree angle. And if you want to bring a cushion for your head or any other support, feel free to do that. And then once you're here, we're going to pick up the left ankle and place the left ankle above the right knee. So that's how you might sit in a desk chair. And then notice what you're feeling. And if it's too much, slide your pelvis away from the wall If you think you would like a little bit more, you can kind of shimmy closer to the wall. So again, we're finding our edge in this position. Good. And 90 degrees is a nice place to start. And from there, either move away for less or move towards for more. And then once your left ankle is above your right knee, you can relax your hands wherever they fall naturally. They could be on your body or on the floor. And bring your awareness into your left hip joint. And just observing sensation in the hip joint. So we do these in our hatha classes often where we hold the thigh. What's so nice about using the wall is you don't need to work, right? The wall gives you that support. And once you're here, soften your feet and hands. And pay attention to sensations arising through the left hip joint. And maybe other places as well. And you might notice if you picked the exact right place to keep the pelvis, if it's a little too much or a little too little, feel free to adjust. And then find your yin breath. So the yin breath is when we inhale through the nose and we bring the inhalation down to the body. So a very common destination is the navel center. In the beginning of class, when we were on the bolster, we also explored coming to your pelvic center or possibly all the way down to the root center. So now practice inhaling through the nose, bringing the inhalation down to wherever it lands naturally and exhaling up from that point. And from where you are, you can bring your left foot now against the wall. And we're going to switch sides. Right ankle comes above the left knee. And then again, we said we are not symmetrical beings. So this might be too much or too little on this side. Again, feel free to move the pelvis. If it's just right, return to your yin breath. And we'll stay here for about 5 more. And then when you feel ready, take your feet off the wall, roll to your side. And we'll start to bring ourselves back to a staff position. So if you've moved somewhere else in your room, back to your spot. Now bring your tennis ball with you. And as you come back now to legs straight out from the body, we're going to use the tennis ball to work with our quads a little bit. So you might even want to space your heels a little further apart. And we're going to start on the left leg. So there's a straight line that goes across the kneecaps, right? And we're going to be on the left side starting, maybe about an inch left. And we're going to take the ball and just roll. And you can roll up. So what I tend to do is use this hand for pressure, this hand for rolling. And you can roll up towards your hip joint and then back down. You're just a little left of center. And if you hit some spot that feels particularly tender, you can always stop. And just like we did with the back of the pelvis, push and hold. And then we're going to come right to the top of the leg. So you're right above your kneecap. So we're not rolling the knees. Press in and draw circles. You can come up to the hip joint and back down. And see if you can relax your feet while you're doing this. And maybe go up and down twice. And just notice what you're feeling through your legs. Okay, so now we're going about an inch to the right. So we're in the inner knee area. This is where I'm tight. And just rolling the ball back up. And depending on your body, more pressure might feel good or maybe a little less. And we find when we say sweet spot, we mean sore spot. Right? It's a euphemism. If you find such a spot, again, you can press in and you can hold. Alrighty, and now let's think about the right leg. Okay, so center line, we're going to come a little bit to the right. So we're at the outer thigh, or right of center. And again, we're just working between the hip joint and the knee. And the quads are a tough area to stretch. And I think that rolling is a really great option for quads. If we think about our most popular quad stretch is when we hold our foot behind the body. And that's effective, but it's sometimes stressful for knees and ankles. So. And when you're ready to switch to the center line, ball. And then we don't roll over the knee joint. So when you get back to your knee, we can move to the inner line. So one time, maybe 2 years ago, we did a foam rolling class. That was a lot of fun. We could do that again this fall sometime. And foam rolling goes nicely with yin. It's the same kind of principles. Holding and screaming. Internal. All right. And then just hitting any other spots that of interest. So maybe up by your hips a little. And the next thing we're going to do is stand up and use the ball on our feet. If you're ready to, you can put your ball down and let's come up onto our feet. And if you're on something slippery, you might want to hold a wall or something. If you're on a carpet, or I don't know how good it'll roll. It depends on your yoga mat. Some yoga mats are stickier than others. And we're going to start by just placing the ball up behind the toes. So we call this the toe pad up the base of the toes. And we're going to scrub. So imagine you're washing the floor. Just rolling, not onto the toes, but the toe pad. And then we're going to want to pick up the foot and do that same scrubbing motion now in the arch of the foot. Again, washing the floor. And how much pressure you put on the ball will determine how strong this is. So if the bottom of your foot is very sensitive, we might be off a little bit. If you love it, you can push into it. So you never know. And then we're going to think about the inner arch. So for this one, we're going to tip the knee in a little bit. And that'll help you get the inner arch that's up a little bit more on the inner side of the foot. Okay, push the floor. All right, and then let's do the other side. Bring your pop ball over. And we're going to place the ball on the left toe pad. And wash the floor. And just move it all around. You can go over towards your pinky toe, over towards your big toe. And just like all our other rolling adventures today, you can always push in too if you want to just push in. And then we're going to think about rolling the arch of the foot. So pick up, reposition. Arch. And you might find that this is not only beneficial for the feet, but for the legs. Again, we were talking about meridians, right? They all end in the feet. So we get a lot of great benefits from stimulating the bottoms of our feet. Okay. And then the inner arch. So the knee's going to need to tip in a little bit. Roll out the inner arch. And then when you're ready, you can set your ball off to the side. We're going to do one more thing before we do our relaxation. And this is called dangling in yin, or a ragdoll forward fold. So for this one, we're going to stand up nice and tall through the center line of the head. And then release the weight of your head. And then soften your knees. So put a little bend in your knees. And again, thinking about that ragdoll, we're starting to fall forward. Release your head. Release your shoulders. And we're dropping, dropping. And you're starting to look for your edge. So at some point, your body will stop dropping. Okay. If you're pretty open through the back of the body, your hands might touch the floor. Don't worry if they don't. Yeah, so slowly, slowly, slowly releasing. And when you get to the place where you stop, we're going to stay there. If you feel like you could straighten your knees a bit here, you can. And just let the upper body hang. And let's take 5 deep breaths. We're going to come out as slowly, excuse me, as we came in. So soften your knees. If you've straightened them, bend them again. Draw your navel in a little bit and start to restack. Keep your chin dropped all the way till the end. And at the place where your shoulders come up to your ears, press back and release down. Only then we'll lift the head and look forward. Okay, now it's time for relaxation. So we're going to come into our Shavasana or our corpse pose. Take a moment to lie down on your back. And if you get cold, have some socks or a sweatshirt or a blanket. And make whatever little adjustments you need to be supported. And when you feel comfortable, let your eyes close. And let your body be still. So one thing I find about coming into Shavasana after a yin class is you've kind of already been here for the whole class. It's different than resting after a more vigorous practice. So we've already spent an entire hour being inwardly focused, feeling our bodies, relaxing our joints and muscles. So when we get here, we may find that we've already been here. That being said, scan your body for any tension, gripping, and see if you can feel that the floor underneath you is holding you. So let your body be heavy. And it's such a joyful thing when we realize we don't need to hold on. We are supported. And then the next time that you exhale, imagine the exhalation entering through the crown of your head, traveling down the length of your body to your feet, and your inhalation coming in through the bottoms of your feet and traveling up to the crown of your head. So the exhalation washes down and out through the bottoms of the feet. The inhalation begins somewhere beyond your feet, travels up your body and out through your crown. Your exhalation is somewhere above your head. It enters your crown, travels down and out through the feet. So just start to cultivate a breath that flows through you. And feel that your body is so soft, it doesn't oppose the breath in any way. There's no obstruction to the flow of breath. And the breath washes over you. And as we rest in this stream of breath, we're going to bring the sound of the Soham mantra to join the breath. So as the inhalation is traveling up your body, here in your own mind, so. And as the exhalation is traveling down, here in your own mind, so. Um, And somewhere above your head, somewhere below your feet is silence. That moment of silence between the so and the hum. That moment of silence between the hum and the so. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. And now, when you feel ready, you can allow the mantra to go and return to your normal breath. Start to bring a little bit of movement into the body. So, moving toes and fingers, maybe gently rocking your head. And when you feel ready, you might bring yourself to rest on your side. And then from there, again, no rush, bring yourself to seated. And we'll just sit quietly with our eyes closed for a few breaths. So you could come onto your cushion or you can just sit on the floor. Won't be here for too long. Before we move into our busy weekends, take a few more moments to observe your body, observe your breath, and the quietness of the mind. And maybe setting an intention to bring a little bit of that ease with us. When you're ready to, you can start to warm your palms. We'll rub the hands together. And when the hands feel warm, we can cup them over the eyes and allow the eyes to open to the darkness of your hands. And then you can take the hands away when you feel ready to. Thank you all so much. Namaste. Namaste. Thank you. Everybody has a wonderful weekend. We're in full on fall weather now, right? I know.
Thank
So
you.
enjoy your-
You are amazing, Tracy. I love you. Thank you.
Thank you. I love you too.
Great class. Thank you.
Good. I'm glad. I know we all need this so bad.
So true.
Join the club, right? Say, I'm also a customer.
Great class.
Okay. Yep. Have a great weekend, everybody.